Hi, in this video we'll quickly look at how to set up a geocoder and a reverse geocoder server using Postgres. To achieve the geocoder and reverse geocoder service, we are going to use the Postgis extension. This is one of the extensions that the Postgres database support. This is completely developed and maintained by open source community. This extension, has lot of features. Please look at their homepage, and features list are described here. It is completely location. It has a location awareness. It has support for S3 shape files. It has a lot of functions, SQL functions, to be able to support in general. When you're dealing with the geography data types. So one of the features that we will going to look into is this the Tiger Loader Geocoder Reverse Geocoder server utilizing the US Census data. So what is Geocoder? Geocoder will normally helps you to convert the address, a standardized address, to a latitude and longitude. Now the reverse Geocoder works the same way. It converts the latitude and longitude to a standard address. So in this demo, we are going to utilize the US Census Tiger data and download the data from the website, which is available for everybody, and use the data to load into the Postgres database using the Postgis extension, and then look at that data. We can use simple functions like a geocoder and reverse geocoder to be able to convert the address from latitude to longitude, or from latitude to longitude to a standard US address. So to set up this, we need some sort of minimum set of tools. Like, first thing, you need obviously the Postgres database. We are going to use 9.5 version. We also need to download the Postgis extension application stack using application stack builder. And the third one is the 7-zip. We need a 7-zip tool because the US census data downloaded is in the zip format, and we need that. And the fourth one is the wget, which is a tool that you can that the batch command supports to download or upload any files to the internet address. It also needs to support the HTTPS. So these are pretty easy to download. So you can download the Postgres database from the Postgres website, and the 7-zip and the wget. So let's take a look at the installation process. The first step we'll do is we'll install the Postgres database. So I have already downloaded the set of files, so let me go ahead and launch that. So let me go ahead and install the Postgres database. Since I already had an installation before, so I'm going to use those settings here. Normally it would confirm you to ask for the port number, the password for the username, the Postgres user, so things like that. But since I already had an installation, I'm just going to use the same configuration. In the meantime, let's go ahead and look at the 7-zip file utility we would need here. So if you go to the 7-zip, so make sure you go to this website and download the 64-bit 7-zip installer. The another thing that we would need is the wget, which is the make sure you download the 64-bit version. So if you go to this website here, you can just download this wget 64.exe. so make sure you download this. So the Postgres database has been installed. Now we are going to use Stack Builder to download and install additional tools and drivers we need. So in this case, we are going to download the Postgis extension that we were just talking about. So let's go ahead and click Finish. This will actually launch the Stack Builder 4.0. So basically this will download all the binaries or sometimes the compiled version to be able to install this extension. This makes your life easier instead of downloading the code and building it from directly. So in this case we are going to select the Postgres 9.5 version, the stack builder that we are going to utilize here. Okay, let's see what's happening. So I think let me go ahead and enable my network adapter here. Okay, so let me try this again. Okay, so it's going ahead and downloading all the application list from the website. So in this case we are going to look at the spatial extension, the 2.3 Postgres 9.5 64-bit. It already says it's installed, but we can go ahead and reinstall this again. Should not create any problem. So let's go ahead and click finish. Let's go. This is the download directory, not the install directory. So installation files have now been downloaded. Click next. So I'm going to install the Postgres now. So I'm not going to create the spatial database. We'll create that later, but for now we are going to install this extension. So this is version 2.3.3. So let's go ahead and click finish. I think the latest version is 2.4, but we should be able to use 2.3. All right, so let's click yes. Just make sure I click yes here. Click yes, close, finish. So we now install the Postgres and the Postgis extension. Now let's go ahead and connect to the Postgres database server and create an empty database, and then we are also going to enable the Postgis extension on that empty database. So let's go to the PG admin to connect to the database. So let's connect to the database. There is another database. There is this database that was previously I created. Let's go ahead and delete this. Okay, so that database is created. So now let's go ahead and refresh and click create a new database. So the database has been created. So let's open the SQL worksheet. Okay, and the first thing we'll do is we'll actually enable the extension. So to enable the extension, I have a script here. Basically it just creates those extensions, and then basically that will enable these in this database that we just created. So basically we are going to use this database to store all our data or repository to support the geocoder and reverse geocoder functionality. So the query has finished. That means all of these features are enabled. These are required features for us to do the geocoder or reverse geocoder functionality. So you can see this query has been finished. So let's keep this aside. Let's go ahead and look at the next step of the installation process here. The next thing we'll do is, in order to download the in order to set up the whole functionality, we are going to rely on this Postgres database and the scripts it generates to actually build this geocoder service. So first thing we'll do is we have to run a query called loader generate nation script. So what this does is it will create us the script that we need um, to be able to download and set up the nation data. For example, the counties and the states that would need, it's a skeleton that would need to load this geocoder service. So if I run this script here, basically what it says is that create the nation loader generation script for nation, and I would need for the Windows version. So if I run this one, although you cannot see the complete script here, it will actually create the script that you can just run it, where it will download the files from the US Census website, and then it loads them to the database. So let's go ahead and so I had already set up these scripts for us. So basically I'm saying that run this script, use our database server, connect to it and run this script and create a batch file from the output. So let's go ahead and run this. Now the same thing I have it for the state. So basically, we have to perform the same steps for individual states. So for this demo purpose, I'm just going to download the Pennsylvania state, and then show the functionality, because the same way it works for all the other states. So basically I'm saying that a loader generate script for Pennsylvania and the Windows version, and output that to a script here. So let me go ahead and run that script here. So the scripts are created. So if I go to users, Postgis2, and these scripts are here. So if I open the loader generate nation script, let me close all of this. So if I click the loader generate nation script, we need to make bunch of changes here. So let me go through, let me actually make you go through those changes so that you can understand what it is. So first thing is we need to change the temp directory. The temp directory listed here, I would say change it to something to a local path. So for me, I'm going to use the C drive here, and this should work without any issue, because that's where the 7-zip is installed. For the duplicate, make sure that the file name matches to what you have downloaded. So in this case I'm going to use 64. So this is since we downloaded the 64-bit version, and make sure this file is put into this location. The next thing is the PG, the Postgres bin directory. So in this case we have 9.5, so we're just going to change it to 9.5. And your password, in this case my password here is Postgis2. The database is PostGIS-DB. So and the only thing we need to change here is actually the in the Windows 10 version, the script that's written here for Windows 7 or Windows Windows 7 or 8, it may not work here. So we need to replace this double percentage signs to single. So let's go ahead and replace that. Replace all. So this is the final script that it would work for us in our environment, and let's go ahead and save this script. File, save, and now let's go ahead. So as I mentioned here, this is the loader generate nation script, and you can see here it downloads the US states, and then it downloads the US county. So it's just kind of like a skeleton it would need, or for the lookup for it when it loads the state. So let's go ahead and download this. So let's go ahead and run this. So you can see here the wget tool is utilized to download this data. Okay, and it actually checks the version of the file you have downloaded, and if it is already there, it will not download. So if you're trying to set this up again and again, it would it will not download the same file again, so it will save you a lot of time. Since I have already downloaded some of these files, so this script might run faster for me. If you're running it for the first time, it will take a lot of time. So let me go ahead. Open a command and make sure I navigate to C. And then run this script. So it's downloading, and it's actually loading the data into those tables. So let's click enter. So that finished all the script that we ran. So I think that looks fine. So now let's go ahead and download the generate state script for the state. So let's click edit and make sure we make the same changes here. So we'll go into do the C GIS data. Make sure the wget version is changed. Make sure the Postgres database is also changed, and make sure your password here is changed, and make sure the database name is also changed if you don't want it to be Geocoder. Okay, so this script downloads a lot of files from the US Census, the census.gov, the Tiger database, like a lot of files, including shape files, edge files, the raster files. It would need bunch of files to set this up. So this process will take a lot of time. So if you have a high-speed internet, this will run faster. I also make sure you have enough space in the database. So for Pennsylvania, it would be at least 10 gigs of data, the space you would need to host this. So let's go ahead and run this for now. Navigate to C drive. So make sure we change the let's go ahead and save this. And go ahead and run this. So this particular step, when you're downloading the census data for individual state, this might take a lot of time. So you just want to make sure run this and just step away from it, and it should finish without any errors or issues. So So it's basically downloading all the data and using the shape to PGSQL functionality within the Postgres extension to load this data into the database. And it's running the PSQL commands using this PSQL SQL commands using the PSQL command. So the script just finished for one state, and that means all the US census data for Pennsylvania has been loaded into the Postgres database. So let's go ahead and quickly verify that it works. So we are going to use the geocoder and reverse geocoder functionality to verify that. So let's minimize this. I have a script written out for us to quickly verify this. So let's go ahead and launch that. So okay, so the first thing we are going to run is a geocoder. Okay, so here I'm passing the address in a standardized format to this function, comma the return the first result that matches this address of for this address, return me the latitude and longitude. So when I run this on the Postgres database, it should return us the output. So here we go. So we have the longitude and the latitude for that, and also the rating. So here we only return the first row, but we can change or we can remove this. That'll give us all the rows for different ratings. So the first row is the lowest rating or the highest rating that it would match the current address that we specified. So in this case, rating 4. So we can just filter this data by saying I want two, at least the top two rows. In this case is rating 4 and 6, and or in this case I would normally do 1, which give me the closest match to this address. So we successfully convert an address to longitude and latitude. So that's the geocoder functionality.